Hey folks, so I thought I'd share something a little different with you today and do a slideshow of the restoration of a Leroy Land Roller from around 1915. I actually have two of these, one of which was found in Troopsville, New York, and the other one down near Lansing, New York. And I have gotten some raised eyebrows as to why I would restore something like this, but this is actually a really neat piece of local history, as the Leroy Plow Company was based in Leroy, New York, just west of Rochester. It was established in 1899 when a group of local businessmen purchased Miller Manufacturing Co., which manufactured bean harvesters. In 1903, the Leroy factory actually burned to the ground, but was rebuilt immediately, and by 1906 it ranked third in the state for plow production. According to Leroy's 1915 catalog shown here, the company was capable of producing 25,000 plows per year. The company's main product line included walking plows, shovel plows, pillar plows, both for horse-drawn and tractor applications. And this is particularly interesting for a Fordson collector, as Fordson was the tractor that bridged the gap for the small farm between horse-drawn implements and implements designed specifically for tractors. So this company kind of worked in conjunction during that same transfer period. But they also produced other products like manure spreaders, buzz saws, garden cultivators, cultipackers, and of course, land rollers. This roller, though fairly intact for something that's over 100 years old, was still in pretty rough shape, so it was completely torn down for restoration. I thought it would be nice to have this usable when it's done, so I'm fabricating sleeves to protect the axles, which will enable me to fill the drums with gravel for weight, as opposed to stacking field stones on the frame. I've heated and flared each end of the tube to fit over the draft angle of the cast hub on each end of the drum. The drums were ground down and painted prior to being filled. Once the paint had cured, I trucked the drums down to a local quarry and had them filled with medium crusher run. Once loaded and the end caps bolted in place, they were entirely too heavy to move by hand, which posed an interesting challenge in getting the axle through all three drums. Many hours were then spent with rust removal and trying to color match paint as closely as possible to the original color brochure from 1915. The original frame rails were both deteriorated and twisted pretty badly, so I decided to fabricate new frame rails out of Bethlehem structural steel that I had salvaged. The original hitch tongue on this would have been a wooden 4x4. Someone had concocted this steel creation at a later date, so I decided to box the end of it in to make it look a little bit more authentic. Unfortunately, the original axle was pitted very badly from sitting in the wooden bearing blocks all these years. I sandblasted the end of the axle, filled it with weld, and then ground it round again. Only one of the bearing blocks had survived, and it was not usable, so I made new bearing blocks out of dried hardwood. You'll want to machine these blocks so that the bearing surface is against the end grain of the wood. Once this is completed, you'll need to boil the bearing blocks in oil. You should bring the temperature of the oil up above 212 degrees Fahrenheit, as this will help to cook the water out of the bearing blocks. Leave it boiling for a while, as it'll steam off any moisture that's in there. Then, once you've been at 212 for a sustained period of time, turn off your burner plate and allow the bearing blocks to cool in the oil overnight. This will draw the oil into the wood pores that have expanded with the heat. Now that all the hard stuff is done, we get into the fun part. I I brought a copy of the 1915 sales brochure down to a friend who owns a local sign shop. He was able to extract the Leroy lettering off it and reproduce it for me for the hitch tongue. To get the proper positioning of the lettering and the pinstriping, I measured the components of the roller and then scaled it based on the page of the 1915 sales brochure. And finally, reassembly with all brand new hardware and testing. I've actually used this roller several times in the spring to roll along with, and it works quite well. I'll try to get a video down the road of this thing functioning.